So here we are again, starting from where we stopped last week. Only a few spirits are allowed the privilege for long stay in the ministry of elevation. And very rare indeed are those who are raised to the staff of the ministry of divine union. I have to stop here already.
Let me know what is the chapter 10 or 11?
11.
Oh, sorry, I missed the last one, yes.
Yeah. 11. So, yeah, learning about the Astral City.
Wonderful.
This is page 64. So we have different type of contracts in Astral City. We have staff people, we have consultant people, we have people that are there just like we call in France CDI, temporary contract. So you see, trying to be funny, but they also have people that are engaged in those activities with a permanent duration. When positions become available every 10 years, so you see, you may apply for a job there, but you have to wait 10 years. Let me tell you, the acquisitions required are no mere expressions of idealistic activity. Look at that. Andre Luiz is telling us that things that a lot of people say that just an expression, staff, contract type of thing. He's telling us here are no mere expressions of activity. So basically, yes, is what you're understanding. Read it properly. We are no longer, well, if you are an employee, you're expected to be paid, right? How are they paid? In Portuguese, they call that bonus hora. In English, I don't even know how to say that, but basically it's a kind of return, right? And you can use that return, if you don't want to call that money, you can use that return to have a property, to have some facilities. So despite that, in the original book, in Portuguese, they do not call them money, has exactly the same sense, right? Because you need to acquire enough bonus hora or however you want to call that, to be able to have your own place, to be able to have some facilities. We are, and if you think that I'm crazy, go to the book, read again, and you find it. We are no longer in the physical plane, where discarnate entities are obliged to become ghosts. We had a question the other day, my God, who was that? Christine, he was talking about ghosts in our study on Sunday. You see, here we go. We are no longer obliged to become ghosts. Our time here is spent in and around of activity work. So we have work, we have the type of employee, and if you knowing that any activity receives a compensation, at least, it becomes so much alike on earth, isn't it? The work in the Ministry of Assistance is difficult and complex. In regeneration, it requires strenuous efforts. In communication, it demands a high standard of individual responsibility. In elucidation, it calls for a great working capacity and a well-trained mind. While in elevation, abnegation, and spiritual enlightenment are indispensable. So on the elevation, you need to have a better degree of elevation to apply for a job over there. If you, Ebony, were thinking about applying to a job in that ministry, I will have problems because I want to. But I know my application will be rejected. Go on.
Going back to the previous paragraph, it makes me really happy, because if you recall in the Spirits book, there was a question answered that talked about idleness being a torture for the spirit, for spirits, for everybody. And here we see that there is a complex kind of administration or organization that puts people to work. So I know how torturous it feels when I'm in between work and I'm waiting for work. So that gives me hope to know that, you know, whatever, obviously I wouldn't be eligible to apply in these, you know, illustrious categories and departments, but there is work for me. And that gives me hope. I'm not going to be turning myself into a ghost, you know, twiddling my thumb, you know, wondering what to do. So for those of us who are afraid of death and thinks, well, you know, we're just going to be going to sleep. Here we have another other facts, other reasons for us to understand and to look forward to doing meaningful work when we're on the other side. So that's something to be happy about.
Indeed.
At least for me.
Indeed, you're totally right. But remember that we have to be prepared to it, right? And the author, spiritual author of this book, regardless his capacity, work capacity on Earth, when he arrived over there, he was kind of homeless, right? So if we prepare ourselves spiritually, yes, we have a better chance to arrive over there. And after we find ourselves again, because I truly believe that when we passed away, there is a period of blurriness where, let's say, we're going to be dizzy for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, depending on the individual. And after that, I'm pretty sure they will find something to us to work if we want to work, right? So if I want, it's exactly the same as here. If I want to have a better house, if I don't want to be on the streets, I need to bloody work. There's no parents giving money to anyone over there to give the kid to buy a house, cars, and anything like that. On the other side, you need to work. There's no other sentence I can say. You need to work, right? If you decide not to, it's on you. It's entirely on you. And it's exactly like that here, right? We may pretend to be working, we may pretend to be doing good, but if we are not, that is on us as well. As to the missions of the Ministry of Divine Union, profound wisdom and sincere universal love are essential requisites. In our study that we finished a couple minutes ago, I was talking about how different are the spirits that work and help a mediumship meeting. And here, in the Ministry of Divine Union, they talked about universal love. What means universal love? Is remove all the masks, is remove all the preconcepts we all have. When we truly accept everyone as we equal, regardless the color, nationality, religion, creed, financial status. And now we know that we also have financial status on the other side, not called with this name, but nevertheless, the same sense. When we truly start to see the others as equal, we may be able to apply for a job here. So as you can see, on the spiritual world is a progression. And on the end, what really will make a difference is the love. I said many times in some studies, one day, I hope we will not need Spiritism. One day, I hope we will not need any other religion. One day, I hope we will not need to study what Jesus brought to us. And that day will be the day we really understood love. Because this is the only thing that will really make us think that one day we'll be enlightened spirits. Doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter how techniques I know, doesn't matter. What will matter is the love I can demonstrate, not the love I can talk. It's very easy to talk about love, but it's very difficult to perform, to do love. The government, in its turn, is the busy center of all administrative activities, and numerous services are under the direct control, including nutrition, food again. I've started thinking about making a list of type of food I want on the other side. And distribution of electrical energy. I will highlight that one here. If you're not happy, if you don't believe it's true, call Chico and call Andre Luiz. Traffic. Oh my God, traffic. We have traffic problems on the other side of life as well. Transportation. Anyway, we spoke about that before, right? I'm not going to elaborate further, but it's there. In truth, my friend, labor regulations are always fulfilled here. Oh my God. I'm trying to be conventional and not bring things like that to light. But Andre Luiz does not allow me to. He's talking about labor regulations. What can I do? It's there, it's written. What do you guys think when we talk about labor regulations? Rules, obligations, rights, compensations, not to talk about money on the spiritual world, compensations are always fulfilled here. And then there are the people that I used to say that Spiritists, they like romance. They always want to read the romantic side of a book. And a lot of people that read Andre Luiz think it is a romance. I totally disagree, it's not. It's scientific, it's informative, it's everything you want, less romantic. Because he's bringing to us here information, how we should be prepared to face ourselves when we return to the spiritual world. The majority of people will not find those words when they read the book. The majority of people will think, this is just to give an idea of something. It's just, no, it's not. It's not like he mentioned above. It's not like just an expression. It is a fact. But if you do not believe in Andre Luiz and Chico Xavier, then I have nothing to say. Hi, Ebony.
When I think about labor regulations, it brings me back to remember that the law of love and the law of work governs the universe. And that tells me that we all have a right, a spiritual right to work, to engage in uplifting work in both here and in the afterlife. So even though we do go through a period of perturbation when we get to the other side, as I was saying earlier on, it gives us hope to know that we have an opportunity, not because we simply want to, but when we want to, it is our right to work and to engage in activities that uplifts us and uplifts humanity. And to know that there are regulations that govern that. There is a hierarchy, there is an administration. It means that it's not haphazard, we have, people that are in control of all of this. And that again gives us hope. I mean, Astral City is a book, is a forward-looking book, and it's a book that gives us hope as to what the afterlife is going to be like for most of us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, entirely. I totally agree with you. And I remember first time when I started to do an Astral City study was a bit before the pandemic, when I started to do it online. And at the time, I said to people, this study is to train you to die well, so you can die better. And after the pandemic hit us strongly, end of 2019, there were a lot of people in the study. A lot of people afraid to die. And that was very positive. Rest, on the other hand, is also rigorously fairly distributed. So we work, but we also have time to ourselves. The only exception is the governor himself, who works ceaselessly, even during leisure hours. So, in other words, if you're pretending to be governor one day over there, you have to work. You have to work very hard, very hard. You don't have to feel that you're working. You have to feel that you're doing something because you love doing it. And then there's no work anymore. Yes?
The holiday of a spiritist, spiritual worker is changing tasks. The only time when they rest, when they changing tasks. So they are working day and night. There are good spiritists as Chico Xavier, they're working also day and night, incarnated ones. Imagine spiritual world. Even during leisure hours. It's supposed to rest is working. I can rest here, put my feet a little bit up, and on the phone I can talk and help someone that are in need. That's true, Elsa.
When we see lots of people giving up 1 hour a week to do good, does not need to be in the Spiritist center or related to Spiritism, but when someone only gives 1 hour a week to do things like that, then we have to ask, is that enough? We can read in books, but we also can have that practice through mediumship meetings. When former Spiritist colleagues come to have a communication with us, and they say, quite often crying, that they regret the time they wasted, that what they did and they thought was sufficient, that was not sufficient at all. Saying that, we should not ignore our families, we should not ignore our work, the work that brings money to maintain our family or ourselves, but we should evaluate how to better manage our time in order not to arrive on the other end and regret things you could have done. Because I could be doing anything else today. I could not be here today. I could be doing something else today. We all could be doing something else today. Why we chose to be here today?
But we can say also that we put in practice our gratitude, our charitable inner self. Sorry, Ebony, I was talking without raising my hands. Go on.
Oh, no. I was just saying that this is my lunch break from work.
You see? You see?
Yes, I was about to say like that. For example, Sandra is teaching children, working with the children. She can put in practice the charitable part of her heart, linked with spirituality, spiritism, and all the lessons that we have knowledge about life, about spiritual life, towards the children, as she does, towards the other teachers that she does, because she acknowledges, and the spiritism is in spiritist teachings is inside. For example, Sandra, took Sandra for example, Sandra, sorry. But it's the way that I see, you can put in practice all day long, 24/7, your duties, fulfilling your charitable tasks, charitable heart, and work with the benefactors. You are in Paris working hard there, and you are putting practice spiritism in your mathematics, in your engineering tasks, etc. Because it's the way. We are incarnated, we need the money, we need to do that. There, the labor, the work are divided equally for everybody. Everybody knows that should work and work with their hearts, because they are, have cameras, I think, seeing our thoughts there everywhere. So I try myself, I put myself as an example, sorry, as well. All day long, work, whatever I'm doing, if I'm going to meet someone in the lift or meet downstairs, etc., I always put in practice love and care and listen and say something. As my neighbor, I discovered his son died in December. We met now many times and I didn't know about that. And the person is crying when talk about his son, because he blamed God that took his footballer son with 24 years old, and things like that. So we can put in practice. Of course, as I think I told Guilherme the day before, that I have a lot of invitation to go out Tuesday, to go out Thursdays, always in these 2 days, theater, musical, other things. I always say, no, it's Thursday, I'm sorry. I compromise myself with Spiritist studies. Or Tuesday, oh, sorry, I cannot go. Only when it's difficult, I can, of course, organize the way that I can fulfill both. But most of the time, my task is here. It's not a holiday, it's not a hobby. Spiritism is our commitment.
Indeed, indeed. And I think that's the way forward, really. But does he never leave the government house? I inquire. That's just to reinforce, sorry, what being said here. Only when truly necessary for the public welfare. The one exception is his Sunday visit to the Ministry of Regeneration, the zone which contains the largest number of deranged entities, because so many of the spirits there are still attuned with their unhappy brothers in the lower zone. So here we have the confirmation, that's the way forward, right? But also we have something here. The spirits could be anywhere and is still connected to the lower zones. We, incarnated, could be anywhere and also be connected to the lower zones. By the way, if you think about geographically, we are already in the lower zone. But when you think about vibration, we can connect with them. Doesn't matter where we are. We can connect with them without choices, without thoughts. Vast multitudes of transgressor spirits are lodged there. Thus, on Sunday, after the collective prayer in the great temple of the government house, our governor spends the afternoon working in the ministries of regeneration on many difficult cases. He sacrifices much to assist our distraught and suffering brothers. He left the Airbus. We spoke about Airbus last time, right? So I'm not going to talk about that here. But I can't. There is a bunch of spiritists that truly believe that the spirit can fly everywhere. By the power of thought, he can fly. Really? So how this minister, that's the top notch of Nosso Lar, is not flying? He needs to get an Airbus. Can anyone explain me? Because there's a lot of spiritists that truly believe we can do everything by thought. Everything that spirits coming saying in a mediumship meeting is just because they are thinking. Every spirit can fly, levitate. That's not true. Some can. I'm pretty sure this one in particular possibly can. But he's using the transportation. Perhaps he's using the transportation because he don't want to show off, be a show off to the other spirits that cannot. But we need to think more realistically. When I die, I don't expect to be flying anywhere. I'll be dragging my own weight. And heavy as I am here, I'll be very heavy on the other side too. I would soon find my comfortable room. As we walked, I noticed beautiful music floating through the air. I had first heard the melodies on leaving, and now, as I was returned, I looked to Lysias for an explanation. I will make a comment in the next sentence. That music comes from our workshops. After long observation, the government came to the conclusion that musics stimulate labor. Since then, that inspiring incentive has become an established custom in all of our activities. Ooh. Well, in a not too distant past, we start to use music, color, smells, or being perfumes, essences to treat people, right? We have people nowadays that use light to treat other people. But coming back to music, how can we create music? By the power of thought? Or do we have instruments? Do we have equipment that can generate music? If you're talking about birds, a bird can sing and can create a music, even in the spiritual world. Because if you do have birds over there, and Andre Luiz clearly said to us that there are birds, there are animals over there, they can also sing. But that music he's talking about here is more like an organized music, an instrument music. So how can a piano make music? You have a notch touching a chord. When the notch touches a chord, vibrate, and the vibration send the signal through the air that our ears perceive as a sound. So there are music over there. Meanwhile, we had reached the hospital entrance hall. An attendant came forward and addressed my companion. Brother Lysias, you are urgently needed in the pavilion, I don't know how to say that really, on my right. My friend left with his usual efficient calmness, while I retired to the privacy of my room, once more to return to endless speculations. This is very great. We should do as Andre Luiz did here. Everything that's new, everything that bothers us to a certain extent, we should analyze, evaluate, making questions, study the subject through other sources to compare if different sources are bringing the same knowledge. And that is important to us. What time is it? Oh, we still have an hour. Chapter 12, the lower zone. In Portuguese called umbral. After having received such a precious elucidations, I felt most anxious to improve my knowledge of some of the facts he had told me about. His reference to spirits in the shadowy lower zone aroused my curiosity. The lack of religious instruction on earth is very often the cause of a serious state of confusion over here. He's telling us here that we lack religion. No religion in the sense of someone being obliged to do something because they've been told to do something. That's not the sense here. The sense is religion connect people. Religion connect people to God. Religion connect people to the possibility to understand themselves better, and then understanding themselves better, they will be more open to understand the neighbors, and then practicing charity as a result. What could the lower zone be? I had heard hell and purgatory mentioned in the Roman Catholic sermons I had attended out of a social obligation. Well, he's talking here about the Catholic Church, right? But we all can think about examples with a different religion, different creed, that we had to go for a social obligation, that we've been forced by our parents to go, that we've been forced to go by the society. All those religions are good, all of them. Which one is the best religion? The best religion is the one that creates better people, that prepare the human beings to be better person. That's all. If you don't believe in spirits, you don't believe in anything, but your religion is turning you into a better person, very good. Very good. But I never had the slightest notion of the lower zone. The next time I met my amiable attendant, I had all of my questions at my fingertips. He listened carefully, then replied, well, now how can you be unaware of that region when you were kept there for so long? He was unaware that he was in that lower zone. How would be that possible? When we are in that zone, we get lost. We get lost in ourselves. We get lost in the environment. We don't know the difference of day and night. We don't know, we lose the notion of time. Make an experience. Remove your cell phone, your watches, lock yourself into a very dark room where you could not see light at all. Initially, you will have an idea of time. After a period of time, you do not know day and night, you do not know days or weeks anymore. You lose that reference, lose completely. With a shudder of horror, I recall my past sufferings. Lysias continued. Let me see, there is a question here, I think. Oh no, pavilion. Oh, Faye's here. I could not see Faye. Where is that? Oh yeah, she's here. Thank you, Faye. The lower zone begins on Earth's crust. I am pretty sure that when I say that we are in the lower zone, a lot of people twist the nose. Can you read that for me, please? Yes, sir. The lower zone begins on the Earth's crust. Actually, I disagree with that. Because we have another sentence in this very same book who defines the Astral City like X amount. I'm not sure if you know this book or you use another book of the collection. I may be wrong saying it's this book, but defining the altitude of Astral City in relation to the crust. And we know through Andre Luiz, the Astral City is on the limit of the lower zone. If Astral City is in the limit of the lower zone, we are in the middle of the lower zone. Thinking about geographically, Astral City, crust. If here is the edge of the lower zone on the higher sphere, means all this area is a lower zone. It is the shadowy zone for those who, in the world, turned a deaf ear to the call of their sacred duties, which they failed to fulfill, languishing instead in decisions or dragging themselves into the mere mire of wrongdoings. I will stop here. You notice that I'm not in a hurry, right? So it's better that we digest word by word if you have to. How can we guarantee a ticket to the lower zone if we fail to fulfill our duties, right? How can we fail with indecision, dragging ourselves through time to perform what is supposed to perform? Hi, Elsa.
Guilherme, I was thinking here about these places in Ukraine, in Syria or Afghanistan, where is a lower zone, totally destroyed, a lot of fighting, cannons, bulls here and there, bullets, etc. And people are starving, people has no medication. It's really, 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 when I saw on TV the news showing and talking about this situation, is the lower zones in our planet. I think it's more or less, I don't know if it's the same as the spiritual world, but it's a poverty, a lot of ambition, money, stealing, etc. Greedy people and others really suffering a lot. And so God is justice. We know, we're not blaming God. But there are people that they close their eyes, they don't want to see. They want to have their dinners, their parties. They never bother to see or to think that in the same planet, there are lower zones like that. There are poverty, there are drugs around, etc. It's terrible to think about that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. I had the opportunity through my work to travel a lot. I've been to places that you really think that we are in the lower zone. And after a period of time, it came clearly to my mind that we do have lower zones when we compare countries, when we compare continents, but also when we compare cities. Even in our cities, there are good places and bad places. Everywhere in the world, everywhere in the world. Places that you don't want to go after a certain time of the day. What is that? Places you don't feel safe. That's a lower zone. So we don't need to go very far, like travel from one continent to another. We can see that in our cities. Of course, there are different levels, right? There are different intensity on different problems. But even on Earth, those areas are not too far away from us. If we want to see, You see, on reincarnating, a spirit promises to carry out the mission assigned to him. Oh, sorry, before, I have to come back here, sorry. Indecision on dragging. We have lots of opportunity to do something. We all have, if not daily, weekly. We have opportunities to do something positive. We all do. But then we don't have that push to do it. We are so indecisive. And we don't start to do it. Because I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think. Start to creating excuses, and then I don't do anything. Or dragging. I know I'm capable of. I have everything I need to do. But I'll do it tomorrow. tomorrow I decide to do next week. Summertime, you know, it's time to go to vacation. When I return from my vacation, from my holidays, I will do it. And then we are always trying to postpone until we cannot postpone anymore because we don't have more time. And the wrongdoings that we all know what it means. You see, on the reincarnating, and the spirit promises to carry out missions assigned to him. We all have missions assigned to us. Some spirits may have participated in those decisions. They participated in the list of tasks they have to fulfill. Some, they could not. Nevertheless, the mission exists and is to us to fulfill. In the Father words. Yet, when he recommences his experiences, he finds it very difficult to keep his word. We all do. Instead, he blindly follows the dictates of his own selfishness. We all do as well. Thus, he continues to cultivate old hates and passions. Old hates, I think I'm not going to mention about that here, but old passions. I'm thinking about my passions here. Can you think about yours? Are all your passions related to your past existence? Possibly one part of it. And then, in this incarnation, we acquire other passions. But part of my passions are consequences of my previous lives. But when we're talking about passions, we all think about good things, right? Like hobbies. But passions here are not hobbies. Passion here are wrongdoings we had in the past, and plus some other ones I'm acquiring today. I'm adding on my list. So we need to be careful with that, because through a thorough analysis of what my passions are, I know briefly, I have an idea of who I was before. And having that exercise will also give me a chance to be prepared to avoid me to fall again because of those passions. We all can recognize our weaker points. I know mine. If you do make an exercise, you will also find your weaker points. And your weaker points is what will make you fall by yourself, or what can be used by other beings to push you to fall. Forgetting that hatred is not justice, just as a passion is not love. All that is superfluous and useless unbalances the harmony of life. It's true. After physical death, great multitudes of obsessed entities remain in that mist region adjacent to Earth's physical sphere. Once again, another geographic information about where those spirits remain. Okay. Hi, Denise.
Hi, sorry for the Right.
No worries. A well-accomplished duty serves as a gateway through which we enter the infinite. So we have here the formula to go to a good place. It brings us closer towards our goal, the sacred union with the Lord. It is natural, then, that one who neglects the task allotted to him should have that blessing indefinitely postponed. Indefinitely is too strong, right? But I'll leave like that. Lysias perceived my difficulty in grasping the full meaning of the lesson. Owing to my almost total ignorance of spiritual principles, he tried to make it more objective. Once again, Andre Luiz is saying that his level was not very good, even when he was writing this here, or at least when he was experiencing those situations. Now, suppose that each of us returns to the earth wearing filthy clothes in order to wash it in the waters of human life. Our dirty garment is our spirit body, molded by our own hands in the past lives. That comparison is pretty interesting, right? So basically, our perispirits will show clearly who we are. Our physical body may hide who we are, but our perispirits cannot. So then the spirits can recognize us. They can identify what we are capable of. Although we are granted the blessing of a new opportunity on earth, we generally forget our essential aim. Instead of cleansing ourselves through constructive efforts, we acquire even more stains. We incur heavier debts and imprison ourselves through our own actions. Do you know when we realize that? When we don't
After
have
that?
time. No, before that. Before that.
Before?
Before that. When we don't have time anymore. Today, we can walk, we can lift weight, we can help people, we can do lots of things. As I'm getting older, one day I may not walk anymore, or walk with difficulty. One day, let's say I'm 89.9 years old. I know I'm not going to stay here on earth for another 50 years. And at that time, I will not have the strength to fulfill my obligations anymore, because I've wasted 89.9 years. My spirit may have learned what I need to do, but my physical body does not allow me to do anymore. And as I am getting closer to the end, the notion that I failed is coming stronger and stronger every day. And if I do have a little knowledge about spiritual life, I start to be afraid of it. Because I know what I should be prepared to face. Because I know what I did. I know what I didn't. But then I have no time anymore. I may try to compensate a little bit, but if I had a plan organized, and if I haven't done, I'll have to explain, and I'm being polite here, I have to explain why I didn't. So that's the time when this situation happens. Of course, there are many cases that no one think about anything, just die, boom. And the consequences are the same, of course. We return to the world to rid ourselves of our impurities, knowing that they are utterly inconsistent with the higher spheres. How then can we expect to enter those luminous spheres in an even worse condition? This is something that troubled me a lot for a long time, because I thought the spirit could regress in the evolution. And then one spirit told me, no, you do not regress in evolution, but you can be on idle for eternity. So you do not regress, but you do not evolve. In other words, it's the same, because you will suffer. But that was an explanation I had.
Sorry, Guilherme, you cannot be idle for eternity, because we are all supposed to be good at them. So it can be idle for a long, long time.
We can be idle for centuries. We have the
Okay,
experiences to mediumship meeting. It's not eternity.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But
A long, long time.
Looks like an eternity for you. If you are waiting for like 500 years, it's an eternity.
Yeah.
We had situations on mediumship meetings where spirits from 700s, even before that, 1500s, slaves that were brought to my country, they came to meetings asking for help. We talk about centuries here. Centuries. Thinking about the old continent, imagine how many are still tied with things in the past. It's not an eternity, but it seems an eternity for them.
Okay, thank you.
The lower zone is a place
Guilherme,
where...
2 minutes to finish.
Oh dear, I'm having so much fun. I forgot that. Thank you, Elsa. Well, having said that, I really appreciate your participation. It makes my life much easier. And I hope you had fun. And